I think we will get started. So thank you for joining the 2022 JETAA Chicago Virtual Shinnenkai. My name is Gabriel Coronado, and I am the current president for our Alumni Association. For those of you that may not know, our chapter is one of the largest in the Midwest. We serve the entire state of Illinois, Indiana, and Wisconsin, and we have two subchapters that participate with us in India, one in Indiana and one in Wisconsin. So we're going to kick this off relatively quickly. And first of all, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us, as well as our wonderful partners from the Japanese Culture Center and the Japan America Society of Chicago. Those are our two benefiting organizations this year. They have been amazing partners to us and to our community over the years. And this is our way of trying to give back to them. So we, all the proceeds and all the money that we raise for the trivia that we're playing tomorrow is going back directly to those organizations. So to get us started, I'm going to introduce Stephen Toyota from the Japanese Culture Center to say a few words about the organization.
I know. Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you again for inviting us to participate. We're really excited to be working together again. Hopefully next year it'll be in person. But again, my name is Stephen Toyota. I'm from the Japanese Culture Center here in Chicago. The center was founded about 40 years ago by Fumio Toyota, who was an Aikido Shihan and Zen master from Japan, who was tasked with helping to spread the Japanese cultural arts here in the Chicago area and the Midwest. And fortunately, along the way, he was able to meet other great resources here in the city. So besides martial arts, we do offer things like Shodo and Ikebana, which you'll be getting to experience today. And we have a lot of different virtual classes, as well as in-person, as well as do a lot of different events and charitable get-togethers throughout the year. So again, thank you so much for the opportunity to share a little bit with you this evening and throughout the weekend. And we hope to see you soon. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us at the Culture Center. So again, arigato gozaimasu. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Yes, I honestly can't wait to host another Shinnenkai at the JCC. The year that we did it, we had an amazing experience. You really were. It really was an amazing venue to host the event. So hopefully next year we can look to do it again. So next I will introduce Wesley Reisel, I believe. I want to make sure that I have it correct.
Sure, it's close enough.
Close enough. All right. Don't be afraid to correct me. I know people mispronounce my name all the time, and I try to help them when I can.
No worries. No worries.
All right. Wesley is with the Japan American Society of Chicago.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of everyone at the Japan American Society of Chicago, I would like to express our gratitude and appreciation for being named one of the beneficiaries for tonight's JETAA Shinnenkai. My name is Wesley Reisel, as you heard, representing the Young Professionals Committee of the JASC. The society was founded in 1930. Its mission? To create and promote the Japanese and American friendships. We pursue this mission primarily through our business, cultural, and social programs and activities, and of course, our language classes. With over 1,000 members, the JASC hopes to provide the opportunities to build and strengthen knowledge, insights, and relationships between Japanese and American people. We aim to continue to promote the vital social, political, and business and civic initiatives. And lastly, our Young Professionals Committee focuses on programming for society members in their 20s and 30s. We've held events such as business seminars, networking, social, sporting events, and events that we've collaborated on with JETAA, like Book Club, right, which has been pretty fun, and a few with the Japanese Culture Center. We look forward to another great year of programs and events in 2022. Definitely reach out to us at our website, on our social medias, if you have more questions and would like to participate or attend one of the events. Thank you very much. Happy New Year, everyone.
I'm muted. I muted myself, and I'm the host. So the book club is one of my personal favorites. It's been a really great way for us to to partner over the last year. And if you have not attended, they're usually a lot of fun. We do them virtually still, but it's really a great way to get yourself reading if you're looking for an excuse to pick up a good book. So again, I appreciate Stephen and Wesley for joining us tonight. I'm glad that we were able to continue to partner together, and I look forward to finding new ways to partner together throughout 2022 and definitely into the future. So those are the introductions. We're going to now get into the presentations for tonight. We have a couple of wonderful cultural presentations for everyone. And the first is actually coming from Oda-sensei. And he is a calligraphy artist. He was born and raised in Kobe, and he's been in Chicago since 1990 and is currently teaching classes for the Japanese Culture Center. So without further ado, I will spotlight Oda-sensei's video for everyone, and he will take us into the presentation.
Okay. Should I start it?
Oh yes, please.
Hi, thank you for joining I'm sorry, thank you invited the Japanese JETAA's New Year's. So my name is Hekyun Oda. I'm an artist, Japanese calligraphy artist, and the instructor of the Japanese Culture Centers since 2018. So today, I can introduce, provide you with about what is Japanese calligraphy. Okay, so in the beginning, what is that Japanese calligraphy? So Japanese calligraphy is original Chinese calligraphy. So Japan, when they established the country, the government about 1400 years ago, they don't have any government anything. So that time the advanced nation already been China is already been the advanced nation. That then Japan has learned a lot of things from China. How to make a government, how to make a country, how to make a system and the military, everything. And then that time, Japan, they have only language, the talking only, but they didn't have that character. So they cannot writing anything. So that time, the emperor, he sent a student to China, and then they have learned a lot of things, and then especially the character. So Japanese language is so now, as you know, they are using kanji, which means the Chinese character, then two-style Japanese alphabet. But original, everything Chinese character. Even though if we're using Japanese alphabet, hiragana and the katakana, but this is the original Chinese character. Then, so we received that Chinese character and about the 7th century. That time, still we're using only Chinese character. Then about the about 8th and 9th century, they made it two-style Japanese alphabet, hiragana and katakana, from Chinese character. Okay, then being Japanese calligraphy is that we have received we're using the 4 treasure study, which means 1 for blush, and then second, the sumi ink, and next the ink stone, like this. So this is the ink stone and papers. Okay, so I can explain to you about the blush. Blush is I showed that this blush, and that brush, and both of that looks like same, a little bit the size different. However, brush has, they have the several kind, well, not several, but a few kind of the hair, kind of the hair. That this one is a little harder hair. This is by made by this hair, horse or raccoon dog or weasel, like a wolf. And this is a little harder. Then this one, the very soft one, like this. This is the sheep one. And then what is the difference? This one, when we created, more, traditional, like a print style, it's using the hard one. And then that soft one is we can make the more, how do I say, artistic things that usually we can use. But it depends on how to show the image for the artworks that it depends on the calligrapher's idea. And also we have the like this big brush, they have a lot. And this is a hose, that only this side is the hose, and the color is the dark. And then also, if you can see like this here, big brush, two big brush. When I sometimes when I do it the calligraphy demonstration, the performance, that is the giant brush I'm using. And then this giant brush, the hair size is about 15 inches long, and the width is about 4 inches. This is a horse tail. And another brown one, this is a little smaller, it's like a middle size. That is also the horse tail too. Big one is the white horse. That one the brown horse. Okay, so brushes are the many we have the many kind. And also next is the paper. We call this one the Hanshi paper. So Hanshi paper is like this size, but we have the bigger paper scroll size, and then you can see this size. This is long, the scroll size. This is about 5 inches. I'm sorry, 5 feet, and 1 feet left. And then much bigger than that. This is for the using sometimes the performance, something special times. So, okay, and then and this next one, the sumi ink. This is the sumi ink. The sumi is made by charcoal, like a soot. And this is the ink stick. In the beginning, we have received that ink stick only. So now we have a high technology, that liquid type. So because of this ink, if we used it, that takes a while. Then this ink is making how to do it in the water, and then put it in here, and then we can make it like this. This takes a while, maybe 10 or 15 minutes. But that ones, we don't have to worry about just put like paint. Okay. And the last one is the ink stone. This is just a stone to make sumi ink like this. Okay. And then those are, excuse me, those are come from China. Year 600 something, and about 7th century. And then Chinese Buddhist monk that belonged to Japan through Korea. Okay, but I'm not sure it's why they belonged through Korea, because of the Korea at that time already advanced nation too. Then the Japan doesn't have anything, and just a farmer, just the emperors, and then the citizens only. They didn't have any systems, and the government, nothing. But China and the Korea is already advanced nation, they already have the big countries. Because of China has the history about 4,000 years or 5,000 years. Everybody, I don't know exactly what year, but at least 4,000 years, their history. Okay, and then, so next one, that we have the, using the Japanese calligraphy using a Chinese character. Okay, and then, Chinese character is meaning a kanji. We call kanji. Then they are beginning 200 years BC. That dynasty, Qin dynasty, and the king of the Qin, he unified the countries. That time that he unified also characters, Chinese characters, because before than that, Chinese they have the a few kind of the Chinese characters, but the Qin dynasty, the king of the Qin, he unified the character, which means seal script. Okay, so I can show you what is that the seal script, and that they have a Chinese character have now we have the 5 kind, and the oldest one the seal script. So in Japan, we're using the seal, and when we sign something, the document, everything, Japanese system the seal. So that's why they have the seal script. Okay, and then I'm writing the Chinese character today. As I gave to provide you guys on which means the tiger for the Chinese zodiac, because of this year 2022 tiger year. You have the tiger by Chinese zodiac in kanji. Okay, so how to do it? The seal script. This. Can you see everybody? This is a seal script. Then so that is that it's very special that that they have a car like a more like a more characters. It's not like a Chinese characters, not like a print style, but they are doing like that car. This is a style is a seal script. Okay, and the next one can show you the critical script. Oh, I'm sorry. Seal script is they have unified the 200 year BC, and then after like that 200 years, about 200 years later, we have the like that style. This is a critical style, about the 200 or a little bit before that. Okay, second. The next, next is the most popular ones. Calligraphers doing that using that style, that cursive style. Okay, cursive style is this one. This is a cursive style. And then almost the same year, they established this one. And the next one, semi-cursive. Okay. Semi-cursive is this style. See, semi-cursive. And then next, the print style. Okay. So print style is very popular. It's the most document they're using in Japan. And then when they write something later, sometimes they are using the semi-cursive, the mix. Okay, print style. Okay. This is the print style. Then I have to tell you some. I have to tell you what. Okay. Japanese calligraphy, and then when we created the Chinese calligraphy, this one they have the stroke order. Every characters, and then maybe you know it's the then Chinese character has each character has each mean. So it's a very that difficult. Even though if we pronunciation same sounds, the meaning is different. So that's why we have to be careful which character we have to use. Okay, then so they have the each. I'm sorry, they have the stroke order. Then we have to memorize that ones when we create it. If we use the wrong stroke orders, we never created good script as a Chinese characters. Okay, so that is the important things. And then also Japanese or Chinese calligraphy and the brush work. Let me show you another ones. When we created the word, if we created like this one, print style that this tiger, like this. Each stroke must be each brushwork. If I don't like it in the middle, when in the middle, like this, when we create it like this, however, sometimes I don't like it like this, twice. That is totally not accepted as a Japanese or Chinese calligraphy. So only one stroke is a one stroke. That if we don't like that one's, we have to replace the paper. So that is a Japanese or Chinese calligraphy. Okay, that is one of the rules. And then, for the how to make it the blush, how to use the blush. So blush is it's very special. That this is a we're using a sumi ink, which is a liquid. So we have to control and by control the ink by brush and the papers. Okay, so I have to explain the paper. This paper is like handmade paper. So rice paper. Then some people using the not rice paper for Japanese, even the Japanese calligraphy paper, but not like a handmade the machine paper. So touching is totally different. So always I'm using a rice paper. So that's why I'm explaining about how to control the brush and the inks by the rice paper. Okay. So this one. Then with the brush, always Japanese calligraphy, the brush work is the arm control. This is wrong. So too much ink. So arm control, and then push, slowly move it, and then ending. Okay, this is the basic. And then push, slowly like this. Okay, then sometimes we have the top-down line like this. And sweep. So touching and the ending is stop. And the touching a little push, slowly, and then ending is something kind of the sweep. This is they have that kind of the one of the technique, right? So they have a lot of rules. So and then next one that I can. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me tell you it's character. We have the I provided that this is tiger. The tiger this year. However, this tiger Chinese character, usually we're using for provide is a year of the tiger in Chinese zodiac. But tiger is the animal, but we have another character, the tiger. So I will show you that another tiger. That tiger is for the animal, that meaning the same as the animal meaning, but usually we don't use this character if we explain about the animal tiger. Okay, this is for the Chinese zodiac tiger for the year. Okay, that one in the print style like this. Tora. So it's looks different, huh? But this is for the animal tiger. This is also animal tiger, but usually don't use the when we explain the animal. Usually using for Chinese zodiac. That's what's the difference. So Chinese character has the at least 46,000 characters, and but they don't know what exactly how many numbers. And someone saying Chinese character has the 100,000 characters. Nobody knows. But I have the dictionary for the professional Chinese character. the dictionary provided the 46,000. And then Japan using Chinese character about maximum about 2,000, and the two Japanese alphabet. Okay, so the big difference. Okay, and then and then now the Japanese calligraphy, they have the several kind. I provided the 5 kinds of the character. This is a basic, the basics. Okay, but now it's many calligrapher doing the many style. I understand that that is a art of the one of the art. So some calligraphers the avant-garde style or abstract style. They have the they're the avant-garde style, and then abstract style. They are new style. They have some started about 1950, after 1950, after World War II. That style is we cannot read the what is that? That this is like only they provide the image only. So my understanding that nobody can read it. So today, and I can show you something example the avant-garde style too. So maybe you guys like that avant-garde style, the modern traditional style. Traditional style is very traditional. This is the calligraphy basic. But avant-garde style, that when they created, they have to destroy all of the basic stroke technique. However, when they created that artworks, they must realize that is a calligraphy, which is the character. Okay, so that time that I am using the like this soft brush, this is the much very good for the avant-garde style. Then beginning, let me show you something image. So character is a wind. Wind is a wind. Then basic wind style is a print style like this. Okay, this is wind. This is very just the character. But wind meaning that if we have the image, sometimes the wind is the sunny days is a very soft winds coming. Or what about hurricane time? Their wind is very strong. Then it depends on the image. We have to provide that ones. So that style is the avant-garde, the abstract style. Okay, so I can show you what both of that ones. Okay, I will put in the wind this one. Then we started. Like this. I'm using the big ink stand. This ink is like this, a lot. I can show you what first the soft wind. See, this is the touching is the soft. Of course, I'm using the stroke order the correctly, but a style is like a drawing. But I have to thinking when I created that once. This is a Chinese character, which means wind, like a very soft style. So that is a soft. This is a kind of the abstract avant-garde style. Okay, this is a soft wind, not strong wind. Okay. Next one that I can show you a strong wind. That is it's totally different. So I'm using the same soft brush. The strong wind. Please image that hurricane time. Like this. Like this. So that is the moving the brush is the splash out, and then the more show up the more stronger. It's not like a gentle. It's totally different, right? So this is the very soft. It must be the gentle. That this splashes that come to the other places. So that's why it show up the more stronger in the image to the strong wind. So it depends on the what is the image must be provided by the calligrapher. So that's why I'm saying Japanese calligraphy and between Chinese calligraphy is art. I am understanding art. And then when I have a class and teaching the student other art, okay, but it's different of the drawing, painting, and then calligraphy. So what is the difference? That the calligraphy has something a rule that they must realize that what with those are the language, the characters. That is that's totally different. Drawing is we can see the mountain or trees. This is the look at that. That's like that. This is not character. This is the viewing. But again, Japanese or Chinese calligraphy must be the character that reminded. Even though, like that style, I think that those are, even though if they are Japanese, cannot read it either. Only I can read it. So that is the art of the Japanese calligraphy, avant-garde abstract style. Okay. So if you guys have any questions, you can ask me. And then if you don't have it, my talking is done today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Oda-sensei. It looks like we do have one question in the chat, or a few actually, so I can read them to you now if you don't mind.
Go ahead if you have a question.
Sure. So the
Yeah.
first one is there a specific type of paper you prefer? For example, certain type of washi made from kozo?
Yeah, that you're talking about paper?
Yes.
The washi paper is that which means handmade, right? That I'm not sure what is the meaning kozo, but this paper is that made in Japan. That I'm receiving the materials from Japan, everything. So they are doing handmade. So I'm not sure that what is the meaning kozo.
They did put the kanji in the chat. I'm not sure if that might be helpful, but my Japanese is not necessarily what it used to be. But yeah, there is a kanji in the chat. If you wanted to take a look at what that character is.
This one?
In the chat for the meeting, they typed the kanji for kozo. If you wanted to open up the chat, you might be able to see it. Oh, they said mulberry.
Yeah, thank you so much. But this is kozo, meaning how to, I mean, 難しいね。Okay. How to 構造はどうなってる I mean, how to make it like that one, right? How to process that to make. Is that right? No?
Well,
Kozo is the one.
hold on. Blaine, if you want, you can unmute yourself and ask directly.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I was just wondering, because there's lots of different washi makers in Japan, and lots of them using kozo, gampi, mitsumata, all kinds of different papers. I was curious if there's a specific place or maker of your paper that you use.
Okay. You're talking about the Izumo washi or Inshu washi, like that one, right? Okay, Mitsumata, I know it, but mine, I don't know where is it made it. Usually I'm using not specific. I'm getting the from my Shodo special shop. That's something that they are using. They selling the made in Chinese one and the Japanese on board. It depends on the I choose that which ones I like. But my understanding, most Japanese washi papers, handmade, it's that quality is it's a Japanese washi papers. The quality is almost same. So I don't have any specific to use that ones.
Okay,
is that
thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Oda-sensei. There are a few other questions, if you don't mind. What were the cursive Japanese styles called again?
Gyosho. Cursive is a social.
Okay. Thank you. There was another question. Are there any Japanese calligraphy competitions in Chicago or the US that you know of?
Japanese calligraphy competitions? I don't see the Japanese calligraphy competition in Chicago.
Okay.
You're talking about the competition, right? The exhibition, like a competition, right?
Yes, it looks like that was the question, yes.
I don't think so in Chicago. But I'm providing a competition every year, the 3 times in Japan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I don't see the Chicago, and then I don't see this country.
Okay.
The Japanese calligraphy competitions.
Got it. Thank you. And there was one last question. If you had to pick a favorite style of calligraphy to practice, what would it be?
Well, I like everything, but now my favorite style is the social, which means cursive style. Yeah, because of the social style is the moving a lot. Is they have to control the rhythm and the image and the technique that we have to make harmony. Must be beautiful. That is most, I guess, the feeling is the most difficult, but most fun for me. So that's why I like it.
All right, thank you. And I think we have one last question. What is the largest piece of calligraphy that you have ever drawn?
What is the largest size you mean? I used that giant brush about the paper, the 15 feet each.
Wow. Wow. I think I saw you draw one maybe 4 or 5 years ago that was on a 6-foot by 6-foot piece of paper. That was pretty impressive.
Yeah, thank you so much. But the Japanese Culture Center, sponsored by a Matsuri about 3 years ago. That time that I used that giant brush, that paper is 15 feet each.
Wow.
One character, I think that one's almost 13 feet wide.
That's amazing. That's
Yes,
amazing.
it was fun.
All right. Well, thank you again very much for coming and speaking for us today. That was really an amazing presentation, and we appreciate you spending your evening with us.
Thank you very much. I hope you guys enjoyed my that presentation. Thank you very much.
Definitely, definitely. All
Thank
right.
you.
So we have one more presentation this evening. Professor Charles Harris has joined us to talk a little bit about Ikebana. So Professor Harris, was there a question? Oh, maybe not. But Professor Harris has assisted with and organized more than 15 major Midwestern Ikebana exhibitions, including at the Chicago Botanic Garden. He's also exhibited at the Anderson Gardens in Rockford, which, if you haven't been, is an amazing garden. I highly recommend that everyone attends if they can. And also conducted flower demonstrations at Columbia College, the University of Iowa, and the Art Institute of Chicago, among others. So Professor Harris, thank you for joining us. And if you'd like, you can go ahead and begin.
Well, thank you very much. I want to appreciate the invitation and thank you for it. I have all kinds of things on my screen right now. There. I usually in this format, I do a demonstration, but with the sort of flat aspect that video gives, it's not such a productive medium. So I thought what I would talk about would be, since Ikebana is not a sort of a decoration, what I would do is talk a little bit about what you see when you view an Ikebana piece. And let me just preface it with a little bit about the direction from which I'm coming. My school is the Ike Nobo School. We are in Kyoto, and we've been in the same location since 657 in the Heian period. All other schools are referred to as Ryu. There are 3 major schools today. There are about 2,000 schools. 3 of them are still, the big ones are Misho, Sogetsu, and Ohara. And it's Misho Ryu, Sogetsu Ryu, Ohara Ryu in the style of Ike Nobo. We are considered the origin of all Ikebana. What makes Ikebana different from Western arrangements is that originally it was in the tokonoma and in temples. So it had walls to the back and to the side. And so it's only viewed from the front. And that gives you the opportunity to create a lot of space and a lot of depth. In Ikebana, that will sort of create a tension between movement and stillness. And you get a sense of there's something back there. Time also is an element of Ikebana. And in the traditional arrangements, we very much like to have a bloom for the present, a bud for the future, and perhaps a damaged leaf to represent the past. And finally, how we value it. in the West, a flower arrangement is really all about the value is monetary. And you call or you go into a florist, a Western florist, and the first thing they ask you really is how much money do you have to spend, because that determines the kind of flowers that go into the arrangement and how large it is. And I mean, we all know the difference between a 3-rose person and a person who gets a dozen roses. There's a big difference on just many levels of value. In Ikebana, one of our most valuable arrangements is the morning glory. And the reason for that is it only lasts a few hours in the morning and then it's gone. And so the value is sort of flipped. And flowers are not the primary value of Ikebana. Space is, and time are also equally important. So Ikebana often, for my school, the Ikenobo school, there's sort of a joke: if you have 2 sticks in a flower, you have an Ikenobo arrangement. And that's true. But the value is understated. And so when you view an Ikebana arrangement, it's never about the flowers. And that's a very important thing. You know, in Kado, the path of flowers, we are taught that the least important part of the path is the flowers at the end, that it's getting there that is what is important. So just a quick word about tools, and then the format, I'm going to show you some arrangements, give you a little bit of the history, and tell you sort of how to read them and what they represent. But before I do that, just a quick word about the tools. Our tools are very simple. We have scissors, kasami, and they're not, you just hold them and lift them with your little finger like this. We have 4 primary ways of holding the flowers in an arrangement. Since the Industrial Revolution, since Meiji and since, we've used pin frogs. You've seen these. They're very sharp, and they have all these little pins in them to hold up flowers. Prior to that, well, and then also we have what is called shippo, and you put flowers in here at an angle and anchor them with just a cut off branch. But prior to that, we use what we call kubari. And this is a kubari. It's a forked stick, and it goes across the mouth of the container. And then you put another stick across this way, and it holds the flowers upright. There's a lot of, it can be tricky. I have 2 arrangements that are made with kubari, and I have 2 arrangements that are made with pin frog. The other way of arranging flowers is called hanawara, and these are just bundles of straw that are tied together very tightly at the bottom, a medium tie in the middle, and at the top they're loose. And you put them all together and try to determine how big the mouth of your container is, and you fit them in there. And you can tie these somewhat loosely at the top to hold in what is usually a very elaborate arrangement with many different stems. Today, ours are going to be a little more simple. So what I'm going to have to do is stand up, and I hope you can hear me. And I want to talk a little bit about the forms. I put this here to help ease it. Ikenobo has been around since 657, actually prior to that, but the first mention was 657. And the early arrangements were very elaborate. And so we're going to start about 1750 in terms of the history of Ikebana. And this is really a period, well, the Edo period, when a lot of other schools started copying Ikenobo, and they became open to a much larger audience, as did ukiyo-e and just a whole variety of arts. Now, the first piece I'm going to show you is actually not an Ikenobo piece. This is from the Misho school. And I want to show it to you because there were about 1,000 Shoka schools in 1750. They all came from Ikenobo. Misho Ryu is one of the biggest. And you can see it has a neckline right here. And the neckline goes from one side across this way and up and back to the center and down. Misho calls this heaven, man, and earth. Ikenobo, this guy is heavy. And Misho came from Ikenobo. Ikenobo has shin, soy, and tai. These flowers at the bottom represent sort of the bursting forth, the elan vital, that energy that propels a plant to come up in the spring. Shin is the heart. Shin is the path. And soy is the support. So as we age, you see the shin comes up straight at the bottom, but then it goes over to the side, but it comes back to the center. As we age, we're born who we are, we die who we are, but in between, a lot of things happen, and we stray from that path, and so we need support. This also reads, for example, my sensei was born, she taught, she came back to the center, and in her retirement, she passed her knowledge on to me, and I start the cycle again. Ikenobo is in its 45th generation, and most of our teachings are oral still. So these are from 1750, these forms. And they represented a real sort of simplification of flower arrangement, but they also represented a way of beginning to share it with other people. These are the two that are made with kubari because they're very traditional, they're very standard. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move them away. Here. This is a bronze, so it's pretty heavy. I'm just going to move it sideways. And we're gonna move up about 100 years. And And I'm going to move the camera. No, that's all right. So, this form is called Moribana. The Meiji Restoration, 1869. A lot changed in Japan when the U.S. attempted its invasion. And that change was reflected in a lot of ways. There was an exchange between Japan and Europe. And of course, without Japanese ukiyo-e and Japanese composition, Impressionism probably never would have happened. Toulouse-Lautrec, Vincent van Gogh, Nicolas Monet, they all borrowed heavily from Japanese woodblocks and were heavily influenced by them. In Japan, the school Ohara, the Ohara school, Ohara view, they responded to all these changes by doing some very dramatic and progressive things. They Benike Nobo, the headmaster of Kunohara, I think his name was. Of course, he Benike Nobo. Benike Nobo is the origin. And so, for the first time, this is going to sound crazy to our ear, but he allowed women to study flower arranging. Prior to that, they weren't. When you see geisha, these woodblock prints of geisha studying flowers, that's not from any particular school. The school wouldn't allow geisha to study. But Ohara moved flower arranging into the educational curriculum of Japan. And he sort of broke the rules. Let me bring this back. We have this. We have this. This has a neckline. It's called Mizuriwa. It has this very straight neckline. In the perfect world, it looks like one branch that just splits off. This is a built-in soy, so it's a little short, but it's 2/3 for the soy, 1/3 for the tie. And it's very prescribed. This is a front helper. It's half the height. If there was a back helper, it would be 2 inches shorter and 6 inches to the rear. And so there were lots of rules about this. Ohara said no more. What we're going to do is we're going to respond to all this change and all this Western influence that's coming our way. And we're just going to sort of create a garden that'll sit on a table. We're going to move these arrangements from the temple and from palaces, and we're going to put them in homes and make them available to everybody. And it was a revolutionary change. Ikenobo responded to Ohara's forward drive by developing their form of Moribana, and it's based on triangles. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's a very straight. Let me move this forward a little more, and I think you'll be able to see it better. It was a very the changes that were made by Ohara are still reflected. And so you can see there's a water element here. Well, you can't see that, but there's water here. And he just changed the world. Now, the next period we're going to talk about is later yet. This is a big container, so it's going to take a minute. Ikebana and virtual are not happy recipients. This form is called Juko. And you can see, let me move this again. It's entirely different. This is a response to a lot of things. Juko really, in 1933, a school of Soviet Society introduced the idea that we're doing away with all the rules, even the O'Hara rules, and whatever you have in your heart, you develop to be put into your arrangement, and they based it on color and composition. Ikenobo responded after 1945, and they responded due to, in the midst of the horror of post-war Japan for those few years. The sort of seasonality of traditional ikebana was destroyed because there weren't gardens, there weren't flowers. All the bombing, all the destruction. So they didn't have that. They couldn't make it seasonal. They didn't have access to materials like my bronze here. That would have been melted down for munitions. Families were required to contribute their bronze containers for the war effort. So there was a lot of destruction and death, but art prevails. And so Ikenobo said, all right, we don't have all of that we used to have. But what we do have is we know that all living botanicals will have one of four characteristics. They'll either grow as a dot, a line, a mass, or an area. And if you have three of those elements, you can make a flower arrangement. And we're not going to worry about a neckline. We're not going to worry about 2/3 and 1/3. We're not going to, well, triangles you do consider yourself with. And so you can see from here, we have line, area, and mass. And this is what we call juka. It's our free form. And you can see how far forward it comes. This is not, that is a significant part of Ikebana. I told you that it's only to be viewed from the front, and you can see why. This is this deep. So this is, 2.5 feet from front to back, and not attractive. But if you turn it around this way, it has an entirely different look to it, and it has depth. So in 1945, we developed juka. And when you look at juka, what you're looking at is an expression of artistic freedom. And a sense of, I guess, liberation. There's been very little written about it, if anything, but it must be stated that with the development of this form in post-war Japan, the main practitioners had to be women. The men were dead. And so this form is the first one that's primarily been promoted and developed, was promoted and developed by women. But that, of course, in a male-dominated hierarchical society, that is not going to be necessarily recognized immediately. But it should be said. So we have Juka, which is for modern Japanese homes. They have lower ceilings. We have Shoga, which is for temples. Now, if you see a shoga that has this neckline that's straight up, because Ikenobo is connected to Rokakudo Temple, Ikenobo is part of Rokakudo, and that is where Pure Land Buddhism was first established. When you go to Japan, when you're in Japan, you'll see a lot of shoga. There'll be one here, and Buddha will be in the middle. If the neckline is straight up, that is Pure Land Buddhism. If the neckline is over to the side, like this, see how that curves to the side, this goes straight up, that temple would be a form of Buddhism that is not Pure Land. And that's another way to read Ikebana. Then we have Moribana, which was the very first form established for homes. So I wanted to just give you a review of that rather than spend your time, me sitting up here cutting something and saying, okay, the next is going to be 2/3 or 1/3. I wanted you to be able to see these arrangements and give you a historical context for where they came from. This form is a gensho, boar's head. And how they came to be. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. I'm going to come to the front again. So if you have any questions, let me know. What's my favorite style? My favorite style isn't on display here. There's a form called Rika. That's one of the very ancient ones. It's from 1550, right around there. Most of these have 3 elements. They all have 3 elements. Rika has 9, and it's very complicated. But I have to say it's my favorite because you can spend time with it, and it can be very engaging. The doing of it is an engaging experience for me. There was another question that popped up, but I didn't see it. It went away.
It looks like, thank you very much, Professor Harris. That was an amazing presentation. It looks like the second question that came up is, what thing or things do you wish you knew before starting to learn about Ikebana?
What things did I wish I knew? I wish I had entered Ikebana with more appreciation for how magical flowers are. It teaches you that, but approaching a lesson or a class with that appreciation to begin with really enriches the experience. And so there were years of classes for my sensei during which that was developed. And if I had known it from the beginning, I would have learned more from her than I did.
Are there any other questions for Professor Harris?
Well, I'm a showstopper. Thank you very much. I do appreciate your time, and I appreciate the opportunity to be before you and to give this presentation. And I will put myself on mute and disappear.
Thank you so much again. I really appreciate you spending your evening with us, and thank you again to Oda-sensei for the presentation prior to yours as well. That concludes our events for tonight. For anyone interested in joining us tomorrow, we are hosting our second night of the Shinnenkai tomorrow starting at 7 p.m. It's cultural connections through food. So we have a few fun activities planned. Jerry from the Chicago Griller will be joining us to talk a little bit about his experience cooking with Japanese food as well as other kinds of food and turning his quarantine hobby into a YouTube channel. And we are also going to have Consul General Tajima will be joining us, and as well as his personal chef Satoshi Ito, and they will be talking a little bit about. They'll actually be giving a demonstration on the chef's favorite tamagoyaki recipe. Then after that, we'll be doing trivia with some wonderful prizes. In fact, including a one-of-a-kind calligraphy piece from Oda-sensei. And there are still several spots available. So if you're interested in participating in the trivia for a chance to win prizes, it's a $10 donation. Otherwise, you are free to play. It'll just be for bragging rights though. So if there are no other questions, I just want to say thank you one more time to everyone that joined us, Stephen from the JCC and Wesley from the JASC YPC. And I guess we probably should take a photo.